Good evening, ladies. In today's video, we're going to do a very deep dive analysis into one of the most exciting crypto x AI protocols that has come out ever, and that is Grass, and that's on the Solana network. And obviously, I've been very bullish, vocally bullish on anything in DeepIn, anything in AI, and anything on the Solana network, as well as memes. But this doesn't really have anything to do with memes, but it definitely fits into all three of those categories, which are again AI, DeepIn, Solana, the three most bullish categories for this cycle. And this is one of the most interesting coins in basically all of those categories. It's providing a huge amount of real world value and super bullish narrative, real world value, incredible total addressable market. So I'm going to explain everything you need to know about the Grass network, what it is, and if it's going to continue its incredible run that has just commenced. So I've been chilling Grass since January. So if you got the airdrop for Grass, congratulations now. It wasn't a massive airdrop, but you didn't need to tie up any capital. You didn't need to be a whale. All you needed to do was spend 2 minutes to install a network extension, and you got a couple of $100 or $100 or something like that. And the coin has pumped since the launch. So if you want to be involved in the next airdrop for Grass, you can use my referral link in the description. So set it up, it takes a couple of minutes, and in a couple of months time you're going to get a small airdrop for basically no work. And if you don't understand what exactly you're installing, just continue watching the video and I will explain exactly what is going on with Grass network. Okay, so how is this an AI coin? How is this an AI project? So if you know how large language models, LLMs, work, basically the better your source of data and the more data that you have, the more accurate and the more useful your large language model is going to be. So ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4, each one of those increments used like an order of magnitude more data fed into the LLM to make it more accurate and basically a better LLM. You know what we've been talking about Nvidia stock going to the moon, and that's because there's a supply crunch on compute power. Now the next supply crunch that is going to be coming is access to useful data. Basically, there's a few companies that have a stranglehold on all of the data of the world, and up until this point there has been enough data to go around to create like decent enough LLMs. But for the next few orders of magnitudes increases in the amount of data that good LLMs are going to require, only the likes of Google and Microsoft are going to have access to that kind of data. And all of these like smaller AI companies are going to have to pay enormous sums of money to get access to data from Reddit. So Reddit is an example. Like there's a lot of companies now selling access to their data to these AI companies, but Reddit has struck up a $200 million deal to companies wishing to license their data. So obviously Reddit, people are posting on there all the time, and that's actually really useful data, really useful English language that smaller AI companies could use to train up an LLM. So it's actually worth a huge amount of money for, like, it's not just Reddit, but all of these companies that have a treasure trove of data. They can sell that for a lot of money. But what if there was a way to access all this data without having to pay, or without having to, like, all of these companies that have all this data, they're basically trying to block anyone from being able to access that data for free. So they'll do stuff like make sure you have to do that capture thing. So say, oh, click the photo with 3 buses in it, or Cloudflare, make sure you verify you're a real human. And they'll block IP addresses from data centers. So the only way to get around this is to pretend you're a human. For like these AI companies, you have to pretend you're a human somehow, and they spend a lot of money trying to get around these defenses of these companies. And this is all like, in a legal gray zone. It's not illegal, there's no laws. This is all very cutting edge stuff. So access to this data, like obviously Reddit, you can search whatever you want on Reddit, and there's so much data on Reddit, but they're going to block these AI companies from accessing that data for free. So they're going to be like, no, we know our data is valuable. You're going to have to pay for it if you want it. But with the Grass network, these smaller AI companies, like at the moment, only Google and Microsoft and these huge tech companies have the resources and have access to this data intrinsically. Obviously, Google have access to a shitload of data that they can use for their own LLMs. But the smaller AI companies, they're already using Grass Network. So basically how Grass Network works, you install this little network extension, or you install a little app, or you use your Solana Saga phone, and with your excess bandwidth just in the background, the Grass protocol is scraping the entire internet. Basically anyone can be like, oh, can you scrape this website for me? And basically it'll use your excess bandwidth and scrape a little bit of that website while you're not using it. So like most people use only about 10% of their bandwidth. So it's unlikely you're using your full bandwidth capability that you could use if you wanted to. So you can now sell that excess bandwidth by installing the Grass extension or installing the app, and sell that excess bandwidth for these AI companies to scrape the internet to train their large language models. And not even large language models, it can also do image retrieval and videos, and that will train, you know, like Sora AI, that kind of like image generation and video generation as well. So really, really interesting. And that's basically the nice thing about Grass, is that you can't really stop it because it's coming from a residential IP address, and it looks like a human because, you know, it's coming from your IP address, it's doing random clicks, and it's basically just scraping a small portion of whatever website it wants to scrape from your IP address. And then on another node, so like another user will scrape another page from that same website, and then like 1,000 altogether will scrape the entire website. So what's actually happening here, I think there's almost 3 million nodes, and nodes are basically just people like you and me who have installed this network extension, and we're all going out and scraping little bits of data from all of these different websites and putting them all together, and we've scraped the entire website. And actually, I think every day, yeah, some outrageous, I think every day it scrapes the same amount of data that was used to train ChatGPT 3.5, and it's an absolute cash cow. It has potential to make billions in revenue. I think it's making hundreds of millions in revenue already. Basically what I'm saying, there's already huge demand for, like we know in a lot of deep-in projects, like there's a huge amount of demand already from these AI companies for the data that Grass is scraping. Now usually with deep-in projects, they're able to create the supply. So obviously the supply has been created here by all those nodes who have this network extension installed and are supplying data, but the demand side usually takes a while to appear. So like Hive Mapper, Render, like all of these deep-in projects, they kind of struggle to get demand, and they have plenty of supply of useful data or useful compute power or useful data storage or whatever, but they kind of find it hard to get a good amount of demand. However, Grass, even though it has producing so much data, enough to train huge large language models all the time, the demand is actually outstripping the supply. So it's an absolute cash cow. So in order to access this really useful data that you've been looking for, you're obviously gonna have to spend a little bit of money. So these AI companies are spending money, and in order to access this data, and this money is eventually converted into the Grass token, and that Grass token is burnt. So there's a positive feedback loop. So in the positive feedback loop, I've talked about this positive feedback loop in deep-in projects before, but basically when some of the token supply is burnt, that should theoretically increase the price. So that makes a bigger incentive to install to give more data to install the network extension, or to tell your friends to install the network extension. Say, oh, I'm making this much money just for doing nothing, having this extension on my laptop. I make $100 per month from just doing that. So then more people do it. So then there's way more data being produced. So the AI companies are willing to spend more to get access to even more data. Positive feedback loop, more money getting burned, more Grass token getting burned. And that's essentially how the bull case for the Grass token. Now, obviously it's really getting very useful data all the time, getting all of this fresh data. But the other useful thing about Grass that, you know, a lot of these AI companies want is live context retrieval, LCR. Basically what that means is that the more up-to-date your data is, the more useful that data is. Like in a way, it would be great if ChatGPT, remember it used to only be up to 2020, and anything that happened after 2020, it didn't know anything about. So being able to have access to really up-to-date information and actually go out into the internet and live context retrieval get the data from the internet straight away, obviously that's going to be way, way, way more valuable, and Grass allows for this to happen as well. So right now there's 3 million Grass nodes. So the other thing I like about the Grass network, it's extremely normie friendly. It's kind of an easy enough thing to understand how it works and why it's valuable, and basically anyone can be like, okay, I'm going to get free money to install this little app. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And we've seen coins and projects that are even tangentially related to AI, like Fetch or Ajax. Like if we look at some of these top AI protocols, a lot of them are in the billions and billions of market cap. Now, Grass at some point, I think, can reach some of these valuations and become one of the top 10 or top 5 or even top 3 AI protocols in all of crypto. So extremely normie friendly in some of the most bullish niches, and still not like, it's obviously it's a big market cap, but it's not an enormous market cap just yet. Do I think it has 100x potential? You know, maybe not, but there's definitely a floor to it because it's providing real value. VCs are going to love it because it's making so much money. It's normie friendly, it's easy to understand. So there's a lot of, obviously it's pumped quite a bit. We can look at the chart here and we can see from the TGE, the token generation event, it absolutely went on a complete ripper all the way over $3, like almost at $4. And then a big influencer, Anteater, kind of started footing it a little bit and, you know, basically it set a bit of foot and it crashed. And actually I said in my public group, this is probably a good place to be bidding Grass. And so we nailed the $2 bottom there. So obviously that was a bit of luck, but also you could kind of see there's going to be a bit of support there potentially. And obviously $2 is going to act as support just from being a round number. But yeah, I kind of want to make this potentially a medium-sized position in my portfolio. So I'm looking at this. It's just over $3 at the time of recording. I'll be looking to add again more in the like 275 range would be the first level. We can see some support lines there, and the $2.50 range. And if it got even lower, probably would be buying more in that range. Obviously it's pumped quite a bit off this bottom, so I don't expect it to get back down to $2 unless Bitcoin really crashes or something. But yeah, these are the kind of ranges, these kind of price targets I'm looking for another entry personally. So I can only see more and more people joining the Grass network, basically installing this extension onto their computer or into their phone. They're going to actually come out with a hardware device to start doing, you know, even more interesting things. So a hardware device would be for, edge computing. So that would be like a tangential product that the Grass network would be offering also for AI. So perfect niche, making a shitload of money. Like perfect niche is actually making a shitload of money.
See the shoes, I see the money.
An actual AI, like a legit
boss ass nigga.
AI project that is providing real value, not just like,
oh, we have AI in our name. We're somewhat kind of related to AI.
On Solana, in DPIN, what more could you want really? Like, I don't think this is going to go 100x or something, but, you know, I do think that's a solid bet for the cycle. Not financial advice. I hope you learned something from this video. Really hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Cheers.